good animation is like Formula One racing. You've got the driver in the car at the end who wins the race, perhaps. But then there's got all the 21 crew members who fit the car up, there's people who design the car, there's all that behind it, the bunny people, and it's the same with animation. There's a performance of a team, people who make the puppet, design the puppet, build the puppet, paint the puppet, clothes for the puppet. Then there's the writer of the story, there's the creator of the set, the lighting, the camera, the way it's orientated, the rig that it's built. All of that in small production is probably done by the animator, but in large productions it's a team effort. I first got into animation in 1985 at secondary school when a good friend of mine and I were acting, and we're the only people acting and working in the art department as well, and he was doing a film for his art project, and he asked me, can I act in it? He won an award for that film. He came back to me and said, look, I've got another film to do and I want to make it puppet animation, and I know you can sculpt, because I was doing sculpture in the time in the art room, and so from then on I started sculpting for him, and he was making films, and for 14 years I became his production designer and in the end animator as well. The animator comes in and it's a dance, if you like, between you and the puppet. The puppet has its own integrity. It's physical, it has knees, it has arms and fingers. It will move in a certain way. A computer animation, you could bend anyway. It can be spaghetti arms if you don't put the joints in the right place. A puppet animation can't. It can only move the way it's actually been designed. And so you have to work with those set of limitations to create the gestures. I mean, early on you try and create a puppet which can, if it needs to play the piano, it has articulated fingers. If it only needs to run, you can just design fists. So an appropriately designed puppet for the gesture, but once you've got the puppet, how do you use those internal mechanisms to be able to create the right gesture? Animation, I think, is broad spectrum, because everyone from kids to adults can enjoy animation depending on content and quality. There's good animation, there's bad animation. There's very literal animation in that it's figurative. If we look at Wallace and Gromit, for example, it's like a transliteration of film into animation. It's just every character you know, it could all be replaced by people. The fact that Gromit's a dog is irrelevant. It could easily be a person, and Feathers McGraw or the like. You've seen these characters in film, and what Nick Parker's doing is just merely transposing that to animation. And I think that kind of misses the advantage that animation has, is because you're creating a world which the audience is ready to sit down and go, I wish to believe in this world, or open to that world. And so you can take them on a journey anywhere. So to merely replicate reality is missing the opportunity. So therefore, I think there's a broad spectrum, as I said, of available destinations for animation, and audiences, of course, as well. If you go to A Bug's Life, for example, the bugs, or the ants, they have 4 legs, they don't have 6. Why? Because they're trying to make them more like us. They're anthropomorphizing them so we can emote better with them. They have that blue colour, they don't actually look like ants. Whereas the enemy, who they don't want us to have an emotion with, those flying grasshoppery things, they are grasshoppers, aren't they? They've got scars, they've got all the texture, they're as alien to human as possible. Well, in Dad's Clock I had a puppet who's all timber and brass, and of course he took months to build. There was no way I could build another one. The idea was just to make him stronger, or repair damage should it be required. That a lot of experience had taught me to build things well to begin with, because a lot of animation is just in your feel, like how much does that joint move. You don't want to constantly be bringing in a measuring device. Now with Max, for example, he's obese and he's heavy and he's depressed. And when you're heavy and depressed, your weight becomes your enemy. You've got to drag it and lift it along. But when you become proud and strong, suddenly your weight becomes your friend, and you can actually use that momentum and start actually knocking down doors with it. And it's the way you carry that. The way you carry your body is what defines how happy or whatever emotion you're trying to bring across. I often see animators walking up and down rooms and actually performing themselves to feel bodily what it is, so they can then transfer that bodily sensation to the puppet. A lot of animators have mirrors on their stage. They can go and just remind themselves of those particular things. As Nick Donkin once said, you never finish a film, you just run out of time. And that's true. You always want to go back and open this bit or fix this, but you've got to know when to, like in any creative endeavour, when to stop designing and when to start presenting what you got.